Okay, so for the first card, this is Aquarius Sun, Aquarius Moons, and Aquarius Risings. So we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. So it seems that you guys have been experiencing some delays or standstills in regards to accomplishing a goal. This could be, a work goal. This could be, a creative type goal, project. For some, this could be about a love interest. So when it's in the reverse position, we're losing our momentum. These wands are falling out of the sky as opposed to moving forward. And for what this could mean for you is that things are being delayed. For some of you, things could appear to be literally at a standstill, like nothing is moving. And this is really, really frustrating, and anger can come up in a really big way with this card because we're just so frustrated at why things are not moving along, why they're not going our way. Why do we keep dealing with these delays? Why are things being postponed? You know, you need to take a step back. When you feel yourself getting angry, you need to take a step back and try to look at the situation objectively, because if we can do that, then we can easily pinpoint what is wrong, what needs fixed, what needs addressing, what maybe we might be doing wrong. It becomes a lot easier to figure out why things are not coming together when we take a step back and look at it from an objective point of view. So, again, if you feel that anger rising due to these standstills and delays in regards to achieving this goal, take a step back, look at it objectively. Okay, well, yeah. All right. And so here it is. So it's clarified by the Eight of Swords. So this is fear. Fear, fear, and more fear. So this is like we've created a mental prison out of our fears. And so we may be feeling completely restricted. So for some of you, this delay, this standstill in regards to achieving a goal or even a dream of yours that you've been pursuing, maybe this delay has been brought on through your own fear. Perhaps maybe this delay has been brought upon because indecision can come up with the Eight of Swords big time. And the indecision is like, it's totally like gasoline on the fire because of the fear. So the fear is just making the fire bigger and bigger and bigger. So perhaps you feel like you have a decision to make in regards to this goal or this dream that you're actively pursuing. And maybe you just feel like you can't make up your mind. And maybe your thoughts are so fear-based right now that it's hard to make that decision. But you need to realize that these are self-imposed restrictions. Fear is an illusion, guys. Fear is an illusion. It's only as real as you make it. I mean, okay. So I'm gonna have to kind of divert momentarily here, because first and foremost, we have some eclipses coming up. So the first one is going to be a solar eclipse. This will be on July 12th. It's going to be at 21 degrees Cancer. So if you have anything from 18 to 24 degrees in Cancer or Capricorn, then that planet or luminary will be eclipsed on the 12th. Now, there will be a lunar eclipse on the 27th of July. And this is going to take place 5 degrees of Aquarius. So if your sun, your moon, your rising sign falls between the degrees of 2 degrees to 8 degrees, then your luminary or planet will be eclipsed. Now, the same goes with Leo. If you have any placements in Leo between 2 and 8 degrees, you will receive this eclipse as well. Now, I can definitely see where this lunar eclipse is already causing a fuss for you guys. And I'm just, the first set of cards already, but I just wanted to get this out of the way because eclipses can bring major changes, and especially the lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse, this is where, things culminate, things climax. So situations can come to an end, especially if they're not serving any good for us anymore, if they're not providing us with any more growth, personal growth or development, then these things could be, closed out and taken out. On occasion, it is possible to lose a loved one. I hate saying that, but that's not going to be for everyone. That's just going to be for a few of you, and that is it. So, now, something else I want to discuss real quickly is Neptune is retrograde, okay? So, with Neptune in retrograde, and Neptune will be retrograde, the last day of it will be November 24th. So, Neptune will turn it will turn direct, It will turn direct on November 25th. So, what does that mean for you guys? Well, sometime between now and November here, Neptune will literally snatch the veil that's been over our eyes. And we will be able to see through all the illusions, okay? So, certain situations in our life will be exposed for what they really are. It's like, walking through life with a pair of rose-colored spectacles on, and then they just suddenly get snatched off. And then you start seeing things for what they really are. So, yeah, this is going to be taking place. So there will be some illusions that get shattered, okay? This is kind of like a sobering reality check, okay? Honestly, in my opinion, this is a good thing, but for some, this can be pretty difficult, especially if you have been in, a certain situation or relationship for a while, and then suddenly you get to see the whole truth and nothing but. It can be pretty disturbing, but just know that there is a higher purpose for all of this, and ultimately it's to put us on the right path. We don't need to be having people and situations in our life that are not good for us, and we also get to learn a lot about illusions, and we'll be more prepared for when situations like this arise again. Okay. Now, the reason I brought the Neptune part up is because illusions, and fear is an illusion, okay? So, if anything, you might be holding yourself up in regards to accomplishing this. And it's purely out of fear. So, do whatever you can to get rid of this fear. Because fear ultimately wants to paralyze you. Fear wants to keep you like on a hamster wheel, to where, we're just running, but we're not making it anywhere. It wants to paralyze us so that we can't move, we can't do anything, and I say, let's not give the darkness what it wants, okay? You know, don't allow fear to control your thinking. You know, use the good reasoning ability and logic that is, that comes with the air signs. Weigh things out, weigh the pros and cons. Do some research if you have to, but, try to make a, intellectual decision, which won't be hard for you guys, but just don't let fear be in the driving seat, so to speak, okay? Because that can be really, really bad. We don't want that. No, thank you. Okay, so for the circumstances, we have the Hermit. So the Hermit, this is about finding, our own inner truth. The Hermit is also silent counsel, very good advice. So it's also about clarity as well. So for some of you, this could indicate that you might receive this clarity, this counsel, wise advice, from your own higher mind. Or for some of you, you might reach out to someone and get someone else's advice. Now, thankfully, the Hermit is in the upright position, so this would indicate that the advice that is given is good advice. It is wise counsel. And, open-mindedness comes with this card as well, which, yeah, more people need to be open-minded. And sometimes there is a willingness to help, especially if you do seek someone out for advice, then, it definitely makes these people more willing to give the advice and to be more helpful. Now, sometimes with the Hermit card, this can be about, it's time to kind of pull back a little bit and reevaluate our life. And so some of you could be going through this. Some of you could just be going through, the advice and, the counsel part. And some of you might be going through both. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you have the maturity and the wisdom of your own truth, to decide for yourself on what you want to do and how you want to handle your life situations. And, like I said, there might be a need to, withdraw, have some alone time so that you can reflect and maybe meditate, to come to a studied conclusion rather than an impulsive one. Yeah. Oh, ow. Okay, so it's clarified by the Five of Swords, which, just an FYI, it ends with the Five of Swords as well. So this is very, very prominent. And this is why I feel that this eclipse is definitely going to affect quite a bit of you. Not all of you, because some of you, your sun, moon, and rising signs, some of your other signs could be, further into the degrees, But for those of you who are there towards the beginning, this is going to be a tough one. So, Five of Swords, this is some pretty difficult energy here. This is also Venus and Aquarius card as well. So, this can definitely indicate the breakup, the severing of ties. So, this can definitely be a relationship, romantic or platonic, that comes to an end. And, sometimes this can indicate selfishness It, this is, I always refer to this card as the asshole that is spoiling for a fight, because it's very true. It's like someone wants to cause a problem for you. They don't want to just rock your boat. They want to sink your boat, okay? It's like, it's not the best energy. And I hate that, that this is Venus and Aquarius card, because I can see a little bit of how it makes sense, but yeah, for the most of it, it doesn't make sense to me, but okay. So, generally, there is a lack of sensitivity or concern for other people under this energy. There's, legal complications can definitely come up here. So, that's going to be for some people. That's not going to resonate with all of you, okay? Now, the Five of Swords in general, this can definitely indicate stealing. So, taking what's not really yours, stealing away with something, this could literally be, someone else's actual items, their energy, their power, very sly, very, very cunning, this one. Coercing others out of something. Now, a quick note. This could be you, or this could be happening to you. Okay? So, some of you will find yourselves on the receiving end of this. And then I feel a few of you could be on the giving end of it. But I'm feeling most of you are going to be on the receiving end. Now, unfortunately, with the Five of Swords, this is definitely lying, deception, deceptive actions, manipulating like people or situations, for one's own personal gain. Sometimes this can be about a bad reputation, destructive behavior, an unethical victory. Yeah, it's just not good. Gossip is another one that can come up with this card. So yeah, ugh. So you definitely want to watch out for deception. And it certainly doesn't help when we got fear getting the better of us. So, for some of you, yeah, it would probably be a good thing to seek out some advice from someone that you trust. Okay, so this is your focus position. So here we have the Knight of Wands in the reverse position. So with this card, this can indicate that things at work or things in the home life, they could just be a hot mess right now, or it could even be a little of both. It's like things are disorganized, just chaotic, Maybe this could be indicating you're waiting on a message, and maybe that message is being delayed, and that's certainly not helping the situation. Also, we can see issues with vulnerability, self-doubt, insecurity, jealousy, personal conflict, lacking self-confidence, narrow-mindedness, and being argumentative. Yeah. So, yeah, that's not the greatest. But, you know, it seems like you guys are going through a lot right now, so I can't exactly try to blame you guys for feeling any of those types of feelings. Because it definitely looks like somebody is trying to cause some problems for you. But you know what? Don't let them win. Okay, so it's clarified by the Six of Swords. So this is a situation where there's been a loss. And the loss is like a family loss. Or this could be like a loss of a job that then affects the whole entire family unit. Now, ultimately, you know, these people are getting into a boat and they're moving towards the shore to find peace on the other side. So this is, you know, leaving the sorrows behind and moving forward to find that peace. Now, this can be done more in the mind, okay? We can do this more in the mind, and then it can, like magic, transfer to our outside world. But we must come to terms with things within our mind and find that peace within. Because once we find that peace within, you know, we can handle anything that comes our way. So for some of you, you know, this could be moving away from a home. For some of you, this could be, you know, relocating. Perhaps some of you might be moving to another, you know, another state. Maybe you're just moving across town. You know, maybe some of you are moving out of state or, you know, to a different country. Sometimes we can see that. Now, sometimes this can indicate that, you know, there could be some sort of issues going on at work. For some, you know, maybe this could indicate a job loss. Maybe there could be some unethical treatment at work. You know, maybe someone's trying to cause problems for us at work. Maybe someone's trying to cause problems for us within our home life, our personal life. But ultimately, we're being called to make peace with it no matter what. You know, find our peace on the other side. Because once we can find that inner peace, we can make it through anything. And you guys are stronger than you give yourselves credit for. Okay, so this would be your recent past. So we have the Nine of Swords. So this is definitely about going through a loss of some sort. For some, this could have been about someone passing away. If that happened to you, then my deepest condolences. For some of you, this could have indicated that you might have had surgery. But with it being in the reverse position, this would indicate that the healing has taken place. So that's very, very good. Now this loss, this could have been, you know, a job situation. It could have been a relationship situation. You know, it could have been many different things. But ultimately, we learn through going through this process that, you know, we do have that inner strength that we can surmount any type of crisis or, you know, trauma or anything like that. We have that inner strength. We can make it through anything. And that's what the Nine of Swords in reverse taught us. You know, and this shows that we are healing or healed from going through that loss. Okay, so it's clarified by the Queen of Wands in reverse. So she could be representing an actual person for some of you guys. And she doesn't have to necessarily be a she. It could be a man or a woman. It is possible that they could be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, but they don't have to be. Or this could just be about the overall energy. So, with the Nine of Wands and Queen of Wands together, excuse me, Nine of Swords and Queen of Wands in reverse, the Queen does not have any confidence anymore. She's been through a loss of some sort. And when she's in her upright position, oh, she is so confident. So confident. But she does not have that confidence anymore now that she's in the reverse position. She also is almost being blocked from her intuition because of fear. So unfortunately, we tend to see the more aggressive side of the Queen of Wands, and that this loss is probably what brought it out of her, him or her, excuse me. So this is where they can become argumentative, domineering, just bossy, arrogant, you know. Yeah. So for, you know, some of you, this could have been, you know, a particular person in your life that was associated with this loss. Or for some of you, this could have been kind of how you ended up behaving after going through this loss. But, you know, it's natural to not show our better qualities after going through a loss. So that's normal. Okay, so this would be the present, the here, and the now energy. So we have the Empress in reverse. Okay, so first and foremost, the Empress can be our mother. This is the mother card. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be females, because there are fathers in this world that are just as nurturing as mothers. We see fathers having to play the father and the mother role in this day and age. So there are fathers that can take on the nurturing as well. So just wanted to clear that up. So with the Empress in reverse, for some of you, this could indicate that perhaps maybe a mother, a stepmother, a mother-in-law, a grandmother, that perhaps they could be causing you problems. Perhaps their health could be not so great. Maybe they might be experiencing some ill health. Now, for those of you who are listening to this reading, if your mom, stepmom, you know, mother-in-law, grandmother, if they're not sick, then please don't take this energy on as your own energy, okay? Because this is the present position. So for those of you who this resonates with, you'll know exactly who you are, okay? Because you'll know about the illness. I just don't want to, you know, people thinking, uh-oh, you know, you'll know about it. Okay, moving forward. Now, for the rest of you, you know, this could indicate that the home or the environment could definitely be lacking. You know, there could be some dissatisfaction within the family life. This could also be indicating a dysfunctional family. There's definitely a need to pay attention to one's home life, because, woof, yeah, this is not the greatest energy, but a lot of times this can indicate that we don't have enough resources. We don't have adequate, you know, finances. So, you know, there could be a lack of security or even poverty taking place. for some. For some of you, this can indicate that maybe your home is troubled. Maybe your marriage is in trouble. For some of you, this could indicate that there is a loss in the family. And if, if it happened to be one who passes, it would probably be someone who is matriarchal, But again, there are nurturing fathers, so don't want to leave the gentleman out. So sometimes this could just simply be indicating that, there is a lack of understanding between family members or between you and your significant other. So, it's like the home life is just a kind of a mess right now, but, we really need to be paying attention to our home life before things get too out of whack, Now, for some of you, this may not necessarily be an issue. For some of you, this could be, that you're dealing with problems coming from, say, maybe a mother-in-law. I mean, this can be interpreted so many different ways. And that's why I mentioned in the beginning, this can be the mother, the stepmother, our grandmother, even a mother-in-law. Sometimes, a mother-in-law that just will not stop, messing with you and your relationship and your life, overbearing. Sometimes this can also indicate, fertility issues, especially if some of you might be trying to get pregnant. Okay. So it's clarified by the Six of Coins. So this makes me think that if someone does pass, well, there's definitely an inheritance of some sort. But in general, let's not focus on that part. So in general, the Six of Coins is a card of generosity. It's a card of money. It's a card of charity. So, this could indicate a pay raise. This could indicate a promotion. This could indicate, profit sharing type of opportunities. This can mean an inheritance. This can also, be like a gift. It could be a material gift. It could be a gift of money. So, yeah. So it's like we are given some sort of money or promotion or a raise or, an opportunity to make more money. And it's being related back to the home life, potentially the relationship, marriage, relationship, whatever it may be. So it seems like you guys could especially if you have inadequate resources, then this bonus is, it's very, very much needed. Very much needed. Definitely. But hopefully no one, tries to cause problems with you in regards to the extra money that comes in. Because that is a possibility for some of you. Unfortunately. Not all of you, though. Okay, so for the near future, we have the Queen of Coins in reverse. So for some of you, this could be a person that you're dealing with. This person can be male or female. They could potentially be Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Or they could just be someone that is earthy, practical. likes to make money, hardworking, things of that nature. Now, the Queen of Coins, this could be about mother as well, but doesn't have to be. For some of you, this could be your energy, or it could be the energy of someone that you're dealing with. So, when the Queen of Coins is in reverse, she's very, very insecure regarding finances and her ability to make ends meet. So she can definitely come across as being pessimistic, moody, melancholy. She's just having a super hard time when it comes to finances and, the material world. So sometimes she can become overly dependent on others for her well-being. And, there can occasionally be some neglect when it comes to her duties and responsibilities. And it all stems from insecurity or fear. Fear. And fear of failing. Now, sometimes this can be manipulating funds to acquire things. Yeah, we definitely don't want to take that route. This can be someone that definitely appears that they're very, very needy. But overall, this is a queen that's definitely seen her fair share of financial issues, and she may or may not see more. It just depends on whether she learns or not. Okay, so next card is the Page of Swords. So anytime I see this card, there is something more to this situation, okay? There's something more to this situation. There's a need to look deeper into this situation. There's more than meets the eye about it. So it appears as one way, but there's really something else going on beneath the surface. So there is a need to look deeper into a situation, especially if you guys are dealing with someone like this. You need to look deeper into this situation. Now, the Page of Swords always brings us messages. Now, with the Page of Swords in general, these messages can actually end up being secret information, third-party information. It can also be like information that's obtained through spying. Yeah, so it's like that whole secret information, where we're not supposed to know, but then we end up finding out. Yeah. So there is a need to look deeper into a certain situation in your life. So do not ignore that, okay? Now, on occasion, this can indicate that we might receive some disappointing news. And if you do receive some disappointing news here in the near future, then you need to look deeper into that news, because there is an element of there's more than meets the eye to these situations. So there's something else going on that's not on the surface, okay? It's like being hidden, but, do your research, guys. Do your research. Look deeper into it. Don't just take things as face value. We don't want to act on impulse right now. And we don't want to react on impulse either, okay? So, look deeper into this information. Don't just, the moment that you hear about it, don't just automatically assume, Look deeper into it. Analyze it. Analyze, analyze, analyze. Okay, so this would be your attitude. So we have the Five of Wands in reverse. So this is positive. This is definitely showing that there is an end to conflict, struggles, confusion. Sometimes, especially if you've been going through a lot of conflicts with others in your life, especially in your home life, your family life, this definitely would show that there is an end to those conflicts. Sometimes this can be where a mediator comes in and can help us out. Sometimes it's just finally sitting down and talking about things, in a mature and constructive way with wisdom. So this definitely shows that the conflicts have stopped. Perhaps maybe you were the mediator. Okay, so then it's clarified by the Devil in reverse. So, this card's really good in the reverse as well, so this is definitely indicating that fear, obsession, addictions, the whole bondage, illusion thing, karmic, toxic relationships, these things are not working for you, and you are not allowing yourself to be controlled by them. This is where we're throwing off those shackles of fear. We're not going to allow ourselves to be obsessed with fear and illusions and, obsessed with an addiction or whatever. For some of you, this could be about kicking an addiction. And that addiction could be one that is chemical, or maybe you've been addicted to fear, But no matter what, this is like we're being released from the devil's bondage, We're not shackled, But, this man, he's sitting here in this cage, but the door is wide open. But see, he's got his head buried. He refuses to look up because he thinks he's trapped, but it's really an illusion. The door is wide open. He could look up at any time and just crawl right out of that cage. So essentially, for your attitude, it shows you guys are looking up and seeing, oh, this is an illusion. It's just fear. I can get up and I can get out of here. I don't have to be controlled by it. So that's very positive. Okay, so this is how other people would see you. So this is a very good card. Now, typically this is a love card, but not every Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising wants to be in a relationship. So, with the Two of Cups, this can be about relationships, whether they are romantic or platonic. This can even be about business partnerships. So, with the Two of Cups upright, this would definitely indicate that you have a bond, like a special bond with someone, but that special bond could be purely platonic. But thankfully, with the upright Two of Cups here, this shows that that you are balanced, that you guys are able to communicate, and that, things are being passed back and forth between you. Sharing's taking place, and, this is completely positive all the way around. I mean, it's really very good energy to have. Yeah, it can represent love, but it can also represent, platonic love, the way you would love a good friend, that you've been friends with for a long time. Sometimes this can be predicting a happy event that's, on the horizon. Sometimes this can be, a gift that we receive. Sometimes this can be about, like a letter, an email, a communication of some sort that makes us happy. There's definitely kindness and thoughtfulness between two people. You know, sharing ideas back and forth as well. So there's complete understanding, there's cooperation, there's good solid communication. And you know, this could definitely indicate that you could actually be able to achieve your plans with this person. You know, because this is all about cooperation and partnerships, and you know, this can lead to bigger and better things. You know, harmony. So it's positive all the way around, but again, it doesn't have to be romantic relationships. This could be one that's purely platonic. You would just feel like you have a special connection with the person. Okay, so then it's clarified by the King of Cups in reverse. So this is where we need to rise up and face an emotional situation with maturity and wisdom. But it's like we do not want to. We just want to be left alone because, truth be told, we are being moody. Yes, we are. Maybe even a little pessimistic. But ultimately, we really do need to face this situation. Sometimes this can be like a situation where we feel like we were emotionally provoked by someone. And for some of you, it might be this person. Maybe you feel like you were emotionally provoked. But you need to communicate about it, because that may have not been where this person was coming from. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, people can say things, but they don't mean it the way that it comes out, you know. Like, I'm notorious for that, you know. It's like my heart's in the right place and my motives are nothing but pure, but sometimes the delivery of what I have to say can just be total shit. I apologize for my language, but you know that it's just the truth, you know. So you know, it's like I'm very well intentioned and I mean well, but sometimes the delivery is just, yeah. And so, you know, this could be the type of situation that's taking place here. Or for some of you, maybe you're down like this and then suddenly this comes along. But yeah, definitely need to face an emotional situation. Even if we don't want to, you know, at some point we're going to have to come out of our, you know, little hermit cave, and we got to deal with it, you know, whether we want to or not. Okay, so this would be hopes and fears. So this could be hopes and fears that are conscious or subconscious. So you may absolutely agree, or you might be like, yeah, I don't know. So let's see. So the first one is the Star in reverse. So I'm automatically going to classify this as a fear. This is an Aquarius card. This is a card of having that hope and inspiration, you know, that comes from above. You know, it's like our wish coming true. It's also about us having creative abilities. Yeah, well, in the reverse position, this could be indicating ill health. You know, so anxiety disorders, depression disorders. This can indicate feeling hopeless, feeling like what we want, what we wish for will never happen. This can also indicate that, you know, if we have some creative abilities, that they could be hidden. Maybe we are aware of them and we just haven't nurtured them. And maybe we've allowed them to remain hidden. And for some of us, this could be indicating that, you know, we don't even realize we have these abilities, but they are there. Now, ultimately, this is a card that is a test of faith, because when we have the Star card, this is a card where we need to have faith. You know, if you don't believe in a divine, God, whatever, then you need to believe in yourself, but it's like that faith is not there when this card is in reverse. So that belief, that hope, that faith, it's gone in the reverse. We're feeling hopeless. So yeah, not a good energy, and I don't want you guys feeling that way. So let's avoid that. Oh, okay. So it's clarified by the Sun in reverse. So the Sun in reverse, this is us definitely, trying to accomplish a goal. It could be a relationship goal. It could be, a job goal. It could be a higher education goal. It could just be about anything, personal happiness, whatever. But in the reverse position, we are experiencing delays in regards to getting what we want. Okay? And it's like these delays can actually cause us to lose hope and cause us to lose our optimism. On occasion, the Sun in reverse can actually indicate that you might be at a crossroads within a marriage or, a particular relationship or partnership in your life. And you could be trying to figure out if you should call it off or not, if you should be done, if you should even invest any more of your time, your energy, your commitment, your love, whatever it may be. But no matter what, it's like there's delay after delay, and it's like the longer the delay happens, the more you lose hope and optimism. So, yeah, we see two cards that are somewhat similar, and I don't want you guys feeling that way. I don't want you guys feeling all hopeless and depressed. I can't have a bunch of Aquarians out here. I don't need to see a bunch of water bearers being all depressed, okay? That doesn't work for me. And it doesn't work for you either. So let's do whatever we can to find that happiness, okay? Sure, sometimes circumstances can be against us. But this is where we cannot give up. We can't give up. We can't give in, okay? Because if we give up and we give in, that's the devil, the darkness, getting its way. And typically, when we are getting ready to succeed, right before we succeed, that's like when the darkness tries to creep in and instill that fear. And here's a delay, and here's a delay, and here's a postponement, and here, have some more fear. It's because the darkness wants us to give up. It wants us to give in and to feel defeated. Do not give the darkness what it wants. Maintain faith. Have hope. Have faith. Have optimism. Know that things will get better. Yeah, we might be going through a bit of a phase here. Gonna be kind of a bumpy month, but hey, don't give the darkness what it wants. If you can maintain that hope, unshakable faith, maintain that optimism, know that everything is going to work out. Don't give the darkness what it wants, and trust me, things are going to get a lot better. They're going to get a lot better. Okay, so final outcome, 5 of Swords yet again. So this can definitely indicate that there could be the unfair application of power, sometimes even degradation. This can also indicate the severing of ties. Sometimes it can be done in a pretty cruel fashion as well. Yeah, I mean, deception, gossip, Again, stealing, whether it's someone stealing actual material items, energy, whatever it may be. Sometimes it can be like stealing your significant other. I mean, let's take a look at the card here. So, here we are. You see two guys that are standing in the water, and they're duking it out, literally, okay? Now, they're standing in the water. The water is symbolic of emotion, okay? And look at this woman back here, okay? She's just looking at the sunset with her back turned to him like, oh, boys will be boys. Just let them duke it out, But they're fighting over her, okay? Yeah. So this fella, he's like punching him. He's like, I'm going to take your woman. She's mine now. So yeah. So it's like this guy here, he's experiencing the severing of the ties, and it's done in a deceitful type of way, in a sneaky type of way. And this guy, he doesn't just want to cause problems for him. He wants to really hurt him. So yeah, not the best energy. Not at all. Again, this can indicate, legal issues for some of you. Oh. Okay. I feel like I already went through all of this, so... 8 of Cups in reverse. So this is where we walk away from a situation, okay? We walk away because we're going on a spirit quest. Now, the card's in reverse, so this is us coming back from that spirit quest. So this is us returning to the physical and the material side of life. This is where, we're ready to kick back, have some fun, meet some new friends, potentially meet a new love interest. Sometimes, we can have new, opportunities pop up where we can, could be a job opportunity, could be an opportunity for a relationship. But it's definitely like walking back into a situation in which we abandoned. So for these two cards combined, this can be like leaving someone or having someone leave you and then walking right back into that very same situation. It's crazy, but sometimes it can indicate that you might be hanging on to a situation that really needs to be let go of. Like it's not serving you anymore, but it's like you're still trying to hang on to something that doesn't really belong to you, and it's really not any good for you. But only you are going to know, which one applies for you. And at the end of the day, you have to do what is best for you, and the only person that knows what that is you. So, definitely do what you need to do. And do not ignore your intuition, that gut feeling. Okay, so for the bottom of the deck, we have the King of Swords in the reverse position. So, yeah, this is not the person you want to tick off. His tongue is literally like a sword. So, woo, yeah, he can really say some things that can literally cut right through you. So, sometimes this can be like, we've definitely gone through something here. It's like we've fought too many battles, or like a battle has just become too long and drawn out, or, like you might feel like someone else has won the battle. Sometimes this can be about simply deciding to retreat because you're tired of battling. You're just tired of dealing with it. So you just like, hey, I'm just going to retreat. Can't take no more. So the King of Swords, though, he's definitely got a bad attitude when he's in reverse. This can also indicate that some of you could be feeling mentally exhausted. Maybe you're just not able to handle the stress of a certain situation that's taking place. You know, for some of you, this can indicate that bad news has come in and you're not handling it well. But ultimately, it's like we really need to find that balance again, because that is like critical for us. We really need that balance. And we need to find it, you know. So sometimes we might retreat and pull back so that we can go within and do some inner reflection so that we can find that balance within. Now, sometimes, you know, this, when the King of Swords is in reverse, you know, he's not going to be sensitive to the needs of other people. And sometimes, you know, there can be an obsession with someone's intentions or actions. Yeah, that would be the Devil card. But, you know, the lack of concern, lack of diplomacy, this can, you know, definitely ruffle feathers. This can cause problems with other people, even though it may not even be directed at them. Like I was saying earlier, it's like bad delivery. So, or just someone catching you at the wrong time, you know, where you're going through something and it's like, yeah, normally it wouldn't be like that, but yeah. But ultimately, you know, this king, when he's in reverse, he cannot see a situation for what it really is. He can't see clearly. And it's because he's out of balance. You know, typically Aquarius, you guys tend to intellectualize, especially when it comes to the emotions. But when we're out of balance here, we can't even do that. We just are struggling to find any sort of balance, but it's just, you know, we don't have it when it's in reverse. And so he's also holding a sword. Now the sword always represents truth and truth penetrating matter, but now it's pointed down. So sometimes this can be less than truthful. You know, some of this is going to resonate and some of it won't. Because every Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising is different. You're all on your own unique journey and going through your own things. And that's why I got to throw several different things out here, because, you know, one or two things might resonate with you, and then one or two things will resonate with someone else. Okay. So, okay, it's clarified by the Six of Cups in reverse. So this can definitely indicate that we could be dealing with issues, you know, like a bad memory from our past or our childhood. Sometimes this can be us reflecting back on the past and wishing that things were the way that they used to be. Because a lot of times with the Six of Cups in general, this is about, you know, siblings, cousins. This can be about, you know, lovers. You know, maybe if you've been with the same person since, you know, high school, you know, yeah, they would definitely be represented by this card. So it's someone that has ties to our past. Someone from our past, someone that has ties to our past. So there's definitely some nostalgia that could be going on. It's like we look back, we We want things to be the way that they were in the past, but we cannot go back. That's like wishful thinking, and that's really not going to help us or our situation at all. So I'm not saying it's wrong to, reflect, and feel a little bit nostalgic. We just don't want to get stuck there. And I don't want you guys to fall into the trap of wishful thinking, because we can't go back. What's done is done, Now, for some of you, this could indicate that, oh, this is sensitive. Okay. Some of you could be dealing with some very bad memories from the past that could be brought back up suddenly, or maybe suddenly you start remembering some bad memories from your past. Some of these memories can be a bit traumatic. And if that resonates with you, then you should definitely seek out some professional help if possible. That, or talk to someone that you know that you can trust. Because I hate to say it, but this card can come up, especially if you were sexually abused in your childhood or teenage years. So sometimes, memories from experiences like this can come up. Now, that's only going to resonate with a very few of you, but I had to say it. And I'm sorry. I know it's a sensitive subject. I'm not trying to trigger anybody. But, ultimately this is about healing. Because the more that we carry things around like that, the more that those people actually still hold power over us. So it's kind of like these memories, they come back, or it comes back up, because we need to deal with it. Because the more that we deal with these feelings, and especially if you didn't have any type of therapy, you should really get some sort of therapy. Trauma therapy would be very, very helpful. But we need to do this because we need to take their power away. We don't want to have these types of thoughts and memories and these experiences that are constantly holding, things over our head. Like, we don't need to carry that energy around. It's toxic. It's bad enough that you had to go through it, but to continue to carry it around and to continue allowing someone else to have that power over you to hurt you, we don't want to do that. So this is why I say, we definitely need to talk about it. For some of you, you might have not told anybody about it. And, this could be pointing towards, maybe you do need to tell someone, or, reach out to a professional counselor, psychologist. Somebody, you need to talk to somebody about it. For some of you, this could simply be about, some sort of abuse or trauma as well. It doesn't have to be sexual, but I just wanted to get that out there. Okay. So, sorry. I know. I can feel people already like, oh, this is so negative. I'm sorry. It's not going to be for every single Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I typically read for those that are going through it, that are going through some major issues. That's who I read for. So if it resonates, okay. If it doesn't, then it wasn't meant for you. Okay, so this will be for the Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs that are single. Reconciliation. Someone from your past is returning to your life. Woo. Well, if this is how it ended, boy, I would really think that one through. Is it safe for you to love? Open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. So, yeah, for some of you, you might be feeling a bit fearful in regards to, should I bring that wall down? Should I let them in? Well, that's for you to decide. And if it is a situation like this, like if there was cheating involved in this, then you really need to be careful and you need to really consider your options. And, are you going to be able to rebuild that trust? Because that's what it comes down to. Because if you cannot trust somebody, then your foundation is literally built on sand. And all it's going to take is for the tide to come in and boom, it's done. So just don't be afraid to be honest with yourself. Look at the situation exactly for what it is. And passion. Allow your heart and soul to sing with joy. So those things that make us passionate, for some of you, maybe for some of you, baseball makes you feel passionate. Well, maybe go to a baseball game. You might meet somebody there, and you never know, might be the person for you. Okay, so this will be for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs that are married or in a relationship. Okay. Deception. Someone is wearing a false self mask in this relationship. Sometimes this can be like keeping a secret. Maybe don't necessarily tell your significant other like how you feel 100% about a certain situation or a certain thing. Like, do you like my haircut like this? Oh yeah, honey, I like it. It's great. But really you're like, oh my God, it's so freaking hideous. Ugh. Well, okay. So there's still a need to be truthful about that, especially because you don't want to see your man or your woman to keep getting their hair cut like that and styled like that. So we need to be honest. So it can range from that type of deception to, huge deception. So just be aware, because somebody's being false. Somebody's withholding the truth, not telling the truth. This can be on a minor level or this can be on a huge level. So do be careful. And you'll know which one of these are resonating with you. Okay, separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean a separation. This can be like separation because maybe your spouse or your significant other has to be in another state or in another country because they might have family obligations, or they might have, some sort of work obligations that they have to fulfill. And so then, this creates a period of separation where, the heart yearns for them, but, it's like everything's still fine, but you're being separated due to circumstances. Now, for some of you, this could indicate that this is an actual separation. For some of you, you might reach out and get some couples counseling. For some of you, the relationship's going to be a wrap, Playfulness. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. So yeah, this is definitely about, especially for those of you who have been married for a long time, or those of you who have been in a relationship for, several years. This is about, taking that time to spend with just, you and your special other person. Be playful, go to the park, go on a picnic, go on a date, go see a movie, do something where it's just you two. Don't be afraid to be playful. You know, this is about being able to reconnect, and sometimes if we embrace our inner child, sometimes this can make it even funner, because these look like some teenagers to me. Okay, express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. So I feel this would be definitely more towards those that are in newer relationships. Maybe you're really interested in the person that you're with, and maybe you're really considering, opening up and letting that wall down and letting them in. And that card's coming out to say, hey, don't be afraid. Express your love. Make that romantic gesture. Show that person that you do love them, that you do care, that you do want them in your life. Because sometimes if we don't express those emotions occasionally, even though you guys are emotional, you guys take a little bit longer to show them. You, first and foremost, you got to trust before you actually show that emotional side. And hey, no judgment here. I totally get it. Okay, so positive affirmation time. The first card we have here is the Nine of Earth. Now, y'all got a lot of affirmation cards, and I couldn't help it. That's just what flew out the deck. And when they fly out the deck like that, that's spirit, and I can't ignore it. So, so bear with me. Disciplined, self-reliance, reliable resources, restraint, and self-control. The final stone placed in the foundation. I know I can rely on myself in spirit. There are many tools at my disposal, and I use my resources wisely, solidifying the foundation of my security in the material world. I am diligent and disciplined, focused on completing the work I began long ago. I stick to my program, trusting the plan is unfolding before me exactly as Spirit intended. 5 of Fire. Creative brainstorming, unity in diversity, honoring differences. I have the freedom to explore the ideas that seem the most far-fetched. What seems crazy today proves tomorrow to be brilliant. Like a child willing to stretch her imagination when a new mate comes into the garden, I open to new people and new ideas, intrigued by what is novel and unfamiliar. This is a time for what is counterintuitive, for appreciating the ideas from out in left field and what they might offer. That sounds so very Aquarian to me. 7 of Air. Independence, nonconformity, living life on one's own terms without people pleasing. Oh, yes, amen. Now is the time for me to live life on my own terms. So I must find the courage to reject conformity. Listening to my yearning for independence is the key to breaking free of groupthink and attending to my own needs. Diplomacy with others can help me to be true to my call to do what I know I must do for myself. 3 of Earth. Teamwork, building on solid foundations, group efforts, dedicated collaboration. What I am building is grounded in a solid foundation, so I know I can trust that it will not slip away suddenly. I am joined by others in coordinated efforts to bring forth what we have chosen to co-create. The architecture of my dreams is becoming tangible, taking shape before me, and I share my joy and pride with my partners and supporters, teachers and students. We're all learning, growing, and building collaboratively. Messenger of air. Opinions informed by experience, adherence to dogma, allegiance to a way of thinking or acting, a learned response, subconscious programming, and swift reactions or responses. I need to broaden my perspective. I am reacting to a situation from my past. I have to think about whether I want to do things the old way or respond differently this time. I can adapt a new way of thinking and behaving if I am swift and move quickly, ensuring my actions are for the highest good and positive outcomes are assured. Nine of air. Shifting negative self-talk to self-compassion. From fear to possibility, a call to faith. With a gentle voice, I tell myself that I will be okay, that I am okay, and that any fear is merely false evidence appearing as real. I forgive myself because I know I am a human trying the best I can, and need only call on Spirit to remember that I can and will do better as new possibilities begin to gather on my horizon.